Hi, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Gen Tales, where genealogy meets history.
Last week and last month's Behind the Paywall, I posted the obituaries I found for the Lincoln Hobson family. And this month's video for this week's post, I wanted to go over a little bit about one of their children, George Riley, because his obituary is the one that really made me interested in that family. And so he was the son of John Wesley Hobson and Jenny Lincoln. And he was born in 1889. Just double check my numbers here. Yes, in 1889. Almost all the kids were born in Iowa, and then the family moved to Nebraska. And George Riley Hobson's 1919 death registration was in Cass County, Nebraska. And it's what triggered me to realize the movement of the family, and then his obituary, which you could only read last week behind the paywall, but I wanted to read it to you. It was in the Plattsmouth Journal out of Nebraska on October 16th, 1919, and it was front page news. And the headline was Big Muddy Claims Victim Sunday, and it's referring to the Missouri River. George Hobson drowned in waters of the Missouri River last eve. Falls from the ferry boat while in the throes of an epileptic fit. Body recovered more than an hour later. The headlines alone are interesting, but let me read to you the entirety of the news article, obituary, and condolences that the paper published. From Monday's Daily, the old Missouri River, the scene of countless tragedies and deaths, has added another victim to the list of those who have perished in its cold and relentless grasp, in the person of George Hobson, a well-known young man of this community. The drowning occurred shortly after 6 o'clock last evening, when the young man fell from the ferry boat on which he was crossing the river, and in a second's time had disappeared beneath the waters of the stream and did not again reappear until several hours afterward. Mr. Hobson had been spending the afternoon along the riverbanks near the Burlington Bridge, and when the ferry operated by John Richardson started across to the Iowa side of the river, he came on board and seated himself on the apron on the rear of the ferry boat. The owner of the boat and the passengers were not aware of anything being the matter with the unfortunate young man until one of the ladies sitting a short distance from Mr. Hobson saw him suddenly fall from the boat into the river, and he was instantly lost to sight. The alarm was given, and Mr. Richardson, the owner of the ferry, threw a plank over the side of the ferry near where the hat of the unfortunate man could be seen floating, and Claude Richardson also put out in a skiff, hoping to catch some sight of the body of the young man and effect his rescue. But the body failed to come to the surface, and as the accident occurred in the middle of the river where the current is the swiftest, it was only a question of a few minutes until the body would be swept away. Sheriff C.D. Quinton was notified and at once hastened to the scene, where the rescuers had been attempting to try and find some trace of the body, but without success, and it was necessary to abandon the efforts at that time, leaving the murky waters of the treacherous stream with another victim added to the long story of deaths caused by the river. The way they used to write in the newspaper is very different from today, and you would think that would be the end of it. They had just left him in the river, not going to be able to save him. His family was not having it. A brother of his died at 14, I found later, by looking through the obituaries. And so the front page story continued. The father of the drowned man, J.W. Hobson, with one of the brothers, came to the river sometime after the accident and after the searchers had abandoned the effort to secure the body. Securing grappling irons from Mr. Richardson at the ferry, Mr. Hobson and son proceeded out in a skiff, and after a long and tiresome search with the grappling irons in the water of the stream, succeeded in bringing the body to the surface, and it was then taken ashore. But as the body was not found until 7:30, all traces of life were extinct. George Hobson was aged 29 years and has made his home in Plattsmouth practically his entire lifetime, and was highly esteemed by those who knew him best. For years he has been affected with epileptic fits, and these have grown more frequent of late years, and it was undoubtedly the visitation of one of these attacks that caused the young man to fall from the ferry boat. To mourn his death, he leaves the parents, Mr. and Mrs. J.W. Hobson, 4 sisters, and 2 brothers, Mrs. Alfred Edgerton, Jr., Mrs. Lydia Moore, Eva and Lillian Hobson, and Marion and Dewey Hobson. To the bereaved parents and sisters and brothers, the deepest sympathy of the community goes out in this tragic ending of the life of the son and brother. I mean, who doesn't want their tragic end to be documented in such a poetic way, maybe is how to phrase it? But that is the obituary of George Riley Hobson, who died in 1919 on the ferry on the Missouri River. As I said, he had a younger brother, Wayne Hobson, who died at 14 of spinal meningitis. Very short snippet if you saw the post last week, the shortest obituary. His brother Dewey, that was mentioned in his obituary, um, died in 1935 of spinal meningitis. So you can see one of my videos over on the Gentiles on YouTube about the various causes of death that you find. And there were various infections and things that they knew earlier than they did others. And meningitis was one of those. But I thought that obituary is very interesting. It made me focus a lot more on that family, and it led to me actually finding the obituaries for all 10 members of that family. It's a bit of a feat. So I hope you enjoyed that look into the Lincoln Hobson family of Iowa and Nebraska. And as I said, if you want more information on that family, hit the last week's post.